Great. What we're going to talk about this morning is just a continued discussion in May 2025 about what's going on with the marketplace. I've got a few numbers I'll show everyone. And then those that are listing, I would like to hear what you're hearing about your foot traffic, any offers you've gotten and what those look like, and those that are showing properties and doing open houses. So pretty much everybody, but kind of look at, well, my listings are doing this if you've got listings. And then I'm having open houses and this is what's going on. And then my buyers are saying this. So let's kind of go down that pathway here. Um, but the first thing I want to show you is just a little bit of information here. Wow, Gary finally got it, you know? Um, You've been talking about the shift. I think this came out in 2015, so it was a little bit ahead of time. But anyway, so here's what I got on the latest numbers. Um, I've got more numbers than this. Well, I've got Arlington, City of Alexandria, Falls, and I have Fairfax County on two slides. I'm still putting together Loudoun and Prince William County because there's so many measurements here. Um, and I'll give you the numbers, but I don't have them on slides. Anyway, this is Arlington, City of Alexandria, Falls Church City. You may have noticed the last year I bundled these three together because these are what I consider inside the Beltway. So there are 762 actives. The price drops of all the actives, there's 24.3% have had a price drop of the actives. The average drop is 51 962,000 is the average drop, which reflects a 5.68%. Those are of the ones that have dropped their prices. Okay. So there's a lot that haven't yet. Of the solds, which is really the telling point, this inside the Beltway area is kind of divided up into thirds. A third are selling for over, and if they are, they're getting 104%. If they're getting at asking price, that's 100%. And then if they're getting below asking price, they're getting 96.93. And that is a huge bogey. That's a 10%, almost a 10% difference. So if you're at a million, someone else is getting 900,000 if they're selling for below asking price in Arlington, City of Alexandria, and Falls Church City. So that's huge to keep in mind if you're working that market. Okay. Then this is Fairfax County and Fairfax City. There's 1,628 actives. Of those, 23.8% have dropped their um, asking price. The average drop is 52.276, and overall, it's an average of 4.8%. The solds, a little bit different ballpark, ball game in Fairfax County. Half of them are still selling, over half, 51.2%, still selling over for asking price. Okay. Over asking price. And that's by 4.17%. At asking price, another 25%. So 76.4% are getting what they're asking. But and the below price is 96. So again, a 10% bogey. But going back to this other piece about the actives, okay, that's all I'm going to share on that one, is that we're just seeing that, yes, 100, that percentage got their asking price. What I haven't done yet is like they got their asking price after dropping. I think that's what's happening. So we're still seeing, so when you look at those two pieces there, that I have how many people have dropped their price, 23%. So they've dropped it. Then you've got some that had to drop even further. So that's kind of the question on what I'm finding out there. So let's start with the listings and the listing agents. You've got a property and you see that roughly, I'm going to have to drop my price. For those that got listings, have you dropped your price and then had to come in under again once you got the contract? Any listing agents on that, I would appreciate it. Go ahead and start. Yeah, Lily in North Carolina. And do you have some stuff up here
No,
too?
no, it's in Annandale.
Okay.
I had that fixer upper. It's going to close next week. I did not have to drop my price, but I did not get list, and I did get multiple offers, but I did not get list price.
Okay.
But it's a true fixer upper. I
Yeah.
was happy it sold.
Yeah. John Segerman, you had your hand up. You're muted right now. Got it.
We dropped our price significantly on a North Arlington listing in Bellevue Forest, and um, it's still a hot market there. We had
Okay.
a massive amount of showings and open house traffic, but the property had liabilities, so we did
Yeah.
a big price drop, and then after that, we had the offers we got were even lower. Did get two offers, but they were even lower than the
Okay.
reduced price. So
All
it
right.
might not be very representative because it's still a very hot
And let's
location.
stay right here on this point with the listing agents. Let's stay on the point of I dropped and had to take even less. Let's stay on that point right now. How many had that situation? I dropped and then had to take even less. Yeah. Kristen?
Well, the answer is yes. I've dropped and had to take less.
What percent did you drop and then how much percent more did
Well,
it?
this is earlier. I mean, I have one that just closed. It was $1 million and we sold it for 990.
Okay.
I've got a condo that, you know, what's the difference there? We were 336, I think is the net when we
Hmm.
were at 345.
Okay. Is there
Um,
somebody
and
else has their
I've got
hand up?
another condo. I have another condo right now that we just got an offer $20,000 light on a 225.
Okay.
No, 245. I've got a $200,000 listing. I got a $20,000
Yeah.
light offer.
Okay. We'll take one more on. I had to drop my price and I took less again. Anybody else?
I do, but give me a moment, Anthony.
Okay, no problem. All right, so now you've gotten some offers and they were at list price. If you would just share don't get into the details if you're still heading to closing, but yeah, I got my asking price and then I had to give them home inspection or closing cost. Anybody get that?
Yeah, I mean, my most recent listings, we did get asking, but the properties themselves are in a little bit of an unusual area, not right in our core market. And the homes were really old. So we did have to go through the home inspection and then we had to do some concessions. And honestly, for the ones I've closed on, I got really lucky because I thought they were going to be on the market a while because of the uniqueness of the property, but the right buyer came along at the right time. And so that's kind of what saved me. But I do have one listing I'm about to do in Woodbridge and another one in Fauquier County that's a very unique property. And so I'm taking all this information and I'm going to have to be really strategic going into it, because I think what you were saying is what we were talking about a second ago of lowering the price and then getting even lower. I mean, the buyer psychology is, okay, the property's been on the market a while, so now I'm going to offer even less because I can probably get a deal here. So I'm just thinking about that in terms of the conversations that I'm going to be having with these sellers and how we're going to posture going into the market. So I really have to drill down where these houses are and look at those numbers.
Yeah. I had a buyer, Alexandria, Fort Hunt. In 3 weeks, they dropped from 875 to 799. So they were firm on their price. And then they said, sorry, we just can't swing the commission you're asking for, compensation. So I took a shave there of about 0.5%. And I got it. I'm like, yeah, I get it. And they had, so that's part of it now. That now we're going to start seeing this. Anyone else? Anyone you got multiples and you sold for over asking price? So do we have any of that going on? Megan, what you got? And then I think Anya had yours a hand up.
Mine was in DC and well, right outside of DC in Fairmont Heights.
Oh, okay. Okay. DC
Not
was over asking price.
right? And this is why I thought it was surprising was
Yeah.
because we went in so super low. I begged them and pleaded them to go low because if they didn't, I didn't. I'm surprised we got anything at asking price because they didn't want to go as low as I even recommended. But we got over asking $10,000 on a $350,000 listing. So
Yeah, it's almost 3% though.
yeah.
Yeah. And then Ann Petrie.
Um, Yeah, so we were listing one in Vienna, and it was one of the least popular floor plans that we have in Vienna. And I was a little bit worried about, listing where we did, but we've had these buyers just offering all this money, and I was like, well, let's go for it. And
Mhm.
we got one offer the first day, the second offer the second day, and then the third day we got one that was 175,000 over list price or
Mhm.
something like that. It was 100 and yeah, I think it was 175,000. It was crazy. So we were like, okay, we'll take that one. But the house was just so ready, so perfectly prepared and clean and
Yeah.
move-in ready and all that stuff. So, and it was
Megan,
cash. It's
yeah. So
crazy.
Megan, coming back to you on yours, how was the condition of your property?
Had a tenant in it.
Ah,
And I mean,
That says it all. I think what's hard about this conversation, right, is like you're speaking about your unique experiences, and for Megan, we're obviously noticing that like properties are commanding less, right? You guys are running comps and you're trying to help your client price the property the best way that they can. But if you're able to talk them into something that is more reasonable, because what's happening here in Virginia has been happening in DC for much longer. So
yeah.
Megan, you work in DC, you're used to trying to psychologically prepare people for you're not going to get as much as for your listing as your neighbor did like 6 months ago. And so the question I think is, what opportunities are we missing when we're pricing too high? And how do you help lay out the argument for your seller clients that prices have adjusted a little bit? And in order to get multiple offers, we need to have a better pricing strategy.
Yeah. Anya, what's
So
going on with
I'm gonna
you?
say, there is no reason and no rhyme to this market for me personally. I had two properties coming on the market in my community in West Springfield, and one of them was, I thought, a slam dunk. It was the most popular, beautiful colonial. It wasn't like updated with 2020s. We came on the market on a Friday, that was 2 weeks ago. Came on the market on the Friday, and over the weekend, we had showings, we had open houses, good feedback. We didn't get offers. We didn't get offers until Tuesday. On Monday evening, I have a feeling a lot of buyers missed out on other homes. And this was the first weekend after Easter, when there was a gazillion other houses and a lot more inventory that came available. So buyers had a lot more choices. So we didn't get an offer the very first house, and I was
Mhm.
shocked. Um, and then on Tuesday morning, I woke up to several showing requests. So I have a feeling the buyers that missed out on other homes that weekend now were hunting again. And one of the buyers made an offer, and we were ratified on Wednesday. The following weekend, I had another listing split, which usually it's not as desirable in the community, usually sells for less, but had a little bit more updates with not a great kitchen. I had 11 offers. I could have gotten more, and it's going up, up, up above list price. So I can't make sense of this market
Yeah.
whatsoever.
I
Anya,
saw
were they
one.
the same price point or they say the same general?
So the Colonial was priced a little bit higher because I've sold multiple of them, and they are going over 1 million. And we priced it on the in the low 900s because I knew there were certain things didn't have hardwood floors. There are certain things that was missing, but we actually made an adjustment to our original list price because the price was set in early January and we didn't come on the market until late April. So we made an adjustment to our off or to our list price, and it was just slightly above. It was at 920, almost 920, 919.9. We ended up with the offer above list price, slightly, but it was not what I expected. The other house, the one that's less desirable because it's a split and smaller square footage, was listed slightly under nine. So we're talking about 20,000, 25,000, which in the
Mhm.
past it was no brainer. Like the colonials are always selling for more. They're a lot bigger, more spacious, all the stuff, more bathrooms, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah. I heard an agent describe it as Swiss cheese. So I'm grabbing that one. It's kind of like a Swiss cheese market. And like you said, I mean, I'm seeing houses because as I'm doing this research, I'm going to, well, why is this one on the market this long? They are like updated, staged, and they're still on the market. It's interesting.
Yeah,
Okay,
the one I'm
yeah.
gonna add this, the one that I had the split one with gazillion offers. I mean, buyers were crawling through the windows, to be honest with you. Like it was
Mhm.
everybody. And at one point, my clients were out of town. I said, if you all want to do pre-inspection, we had 5 pre-inspections, and people knew that we were having pre-inspections. They were still going for it. So on top of 11 offers, I could have gotten more. People were even calling me on Monday when I had a deadline at noon saying, hey, is it still available? Will they take 900? Like,
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Like, I hate to tell you, but it's escalating above that.
right.
So it just makes absolute.
Yes.
So
I
again,
think it
how
would be
many?
interesting to look at the data in those specific neighborhoods and see if there's
Right.
something to a price point 9 and below and then 9 and above. I don't know, like, is certain days on market that
No, it has
different right
increased
now?
from, it has an increased from being in the 800s like a few years ago, 3 years ago, to then going above 1 million. And now it's in back to the 900s.
Mhm.
Yeah. Hey guys, I want to ask a question. I'd like to get some responses. Just use the chat. How many have you had a listing and you got multiples in the last 20 days? Let's say that last 3 weeks, or you were writing and you were competing. Just put yes in the chat, and we'll come back to that in a second. Um, because that's where this whole Swiss cheese is going on with and that's what you want to know. Are there any other offers? And so I think that's something that we're looking at as well on how I'm going to construct my offer. And the buyers have to be willing to do, okay, this one I'm writing over and I'm giving up stuff. This one I'm not. And they can't get married to one way of writing an offer. And the sellers can't get married to one story they heard down the road. Okay. Um, Open houses. Let's talk about that. I mean, before everyone got on here, it's like, I forget, Alicia said, total crickets, nothing, nada. I don't know if, yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead. So let's talk about the open house traffic.
I mean, I have had like 4 or 5 listings in the past couple of weeks, right? So, and yes, overall crickets in open houses and showings, both. And those are condos. So I had 4 condos in a townhome. I don't know. Crickets. I don't know. Like or a sprinkling in terms of showings, right? Showings, we're like getting sprinklings of showings. But yeah, the open houses have been really quiet.
Mm-hmm.
I
Okay.
had an open house in Montclair. We went live Thursday night. A lot of traffic Friday, a lot of traffic Saturday for the open house. And what I found out is I knew this was going to happen. There were 8 houses in the same subdivision. So people were going from house to house to house to house comparing. And we got an offer Saturday evening, and I told my clients, let's take it, because otherwise we would have been sitting like other houses are sitting. And it was only $1,000 above asking, but the agent got, the buyer's agent got their clients to pay her commission. So my clients saved on the commission. So, yeah.
See, that's interesting. In a slower market, you're going to have buyers acting like it's a hot market and sellers acting like it's a hot market when it's not. And because they don't know about what's going on with this shift, because they still see 50% selling at 104 over, they think, well, we got to ask this, we got to give up that, we got to. So, but as we keep in tune with the marketplace, you start seeing, okay, I can actually bring my price down or keep the price where it is, ask for closing costs. Megan, you got your hand up.
Hey, I've done a lot of open houses, and I hope the people who let me do their open houses don't mind me sharing. But I did one for Kristen, that had one person go through. It had been on the market for longer, and but that one person is now coming back around and wants to offer, and actually, probably is going to lowball. But I've already told Kristen this, she knows.
Yeah, okay.
But that one, and then I did an open house for Andy in Fairfax. This was in Shirlington. Um, around $1 million. And then also Fairfax for around $1 million for Andy, and got tons of people coming in, no offers at the end of the weekend, and even really good feedback of people saying like, you know, asking, do you have an offer deadline? Blah, blah, blah. I had my own listing in DC, the one that was around 350 that like I could have begged someone to buy and thought that it never would have sold because it had a tenant in it, had over 32 showings, 2 open houses that were completely packed, and 4 offers over asking. It was priced really low. It was priced lower than it needed to be. And then another listing in DC, townhouse, $1 million, hardly any showings, like maybe 4 showings total, and got 2 offers over asking.
Okay. All right. Anya, Emma, Andy, Angie. Let's go in that order. So Anya, go ahead.
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago, I had 2 active listings in different price points. One was a townhouse in Kingstowne in the 600s, 625, maybe something like that. So on Saturday, we had a very busy open house, 10 plus groups. I can't remember exactly. But we had a listing that came on the market the same weekend, 2 doors down. So we had a traffic flowing between both. So my suggestion to listing agents would be, if you're coming on the market, before you schedule your open house, see if any other houses nearby are having it, and trying to schedule it during similar times as the other one to help each other with the foot traffic through between the open houses. Then Sunday, I think Messina held the open house, and she only had maybe 5 groups or something like that. So the traffic was slower. The other house was not open. And then on Saturday for the other listing in West Springfield, Aga held an open house, and they had maybe 5 or 6 groups, but it was raining. But I had the same weather.
Was that Springfield?
It was in Springfield in the 900s. And then my Sunday open house was very busy, and I had lots of people coming through, 10 plus groups. Several were looking, that was the first weekend after Easter. Several were out of state and looking at 14, 17 houses they shared with me.
And what town was that?
That was in West Springfield.
Okay.
And then last weekend for my other listings, I had both Saturday and Sunday open houses, and it was like 15 to 19 groups through both days.
Okay. Emma?
So I can only speak from the open house perspective of hosting for other people. But I hosted one a couple weeks ago in Fairfax, condo, 500 range, had a ton of people come through. I found out that a lot of them were neighbors, but still, ton of traffic, and ended up having an unrepresented buyer come in who lives in the area, and by Wednesday there was still no offers. I put in an offer for him, and it got accepted at list price, and we got all the contingencies.
All right, back up there. You got all the contingencies?
Yeah, home inspection, financing, and appraisal.
Wow.
And but there wasn't any other offers. And
Yeah,
then
is the inspection with negotiation?
well, that's how it was written, but
Okay.
there was no negotiation.
No, I'm saying is it void only or negotiation inspection?
It was checked off as with negotiation, and
Okay.
then my client wanted to go back and negotiate some more, and the listing agent was like, "No, we're good. We already put 20K into it. Like, that's it."
Yeah, see, and that's what I was talking about, folks. We've got this not cheddar, we got the Swiss cheese market. Some sellers are going to say, "Well, no, I don't want. I'm supposed to get 4 offers. I'm supposed to get over," and they're gonna think it's a hot market. And I think some buyers are like, "Well, okay, I'll pull back," but it's because we're in this stream right here of uncertainty where you're going to have a judgment call on whether or not I keep pushing, or do you want the house or not, because the house is only available when the house is available. So then, yeah.
And then I have had another open house last weekend in Fairfax Station, and it was almost nobody came through. and people were, I mean, it was a nice place. It definitely had some things that needed to be fixed, but people were super judgmental about it. The like 3 groups that came through. Um, and and then I'm working with a buyer who she's looking at some places in Arlington and Falls Church, and she's being very hesitant. And I'm like, hey, but she doesn't want to compete. And we found a couple properties that don't have any offers on them and been on for a little bit. And she's even very hesitant, like, I don't know if I want to do that. And we haven't put an offer in it on anything.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Really
And
quick, can I add something, Anthony?
yeah, and then go Andy Stevens.
There are 3 things that come to mind when I hear all this and like the data that we've been looking at and talking to other agents. The first is considering the buyer's agent professional, like their education level, the impact that they have with their clients, and their sophistication level. There are some buyer's agents or people that have been in the business for a really long time that have a very big reputation, have had a lot of transactions, and their own mindsets and like their own limiting beliefs will impact their clients. And for example, they may as a buyer's agent say, well, I always take 2.5%. So if you ask for a 3% in your negotiation and someone's coming back and that person's mindset is a certain way, they're going to impact their client's negotiation around that. And your ability to negotiate is going to impact that as well. I think the other thing is consumer sentiment and all the things that are going on, the mixed messages. Like there are weekly changes right now in this area, right? So when you talk about Swiss cheese, I think there is an impact on like what's happening in the news, and it's like they're for short time segments. So I think buyers are willing to wait and pause because of all the things that they're happening and might feel scared about spending money. So one week they may be prepared to spend at a certain price point, and the next week they may say, hey, we're going to slow down a little bit because like we don't know what's going on with tariffs or whatever it is that they're reading in the news. And then the third thing is more and more I question, like, what are our buyers' expectations going to be moving into the future? Like with what people see on social media, watching TV shows, their expectation for like certain finishes and like for a home to be perfectly beautiful to buy it, I think are going to continue to increase. It's like that Cribs lifestyle. If you're old enough to know what the show Cribs is, it's like they're seeing this so much that walking into an outdated home that is dark and like just not open, they may just shut down and not be able to have that vision. And I think that's happening more and more, and that could be impacting your future sales if you're not helping your seller clients wrap their heads around that and figure out how do they get there.
Yeah. All right, Andy.
I've done a few open houses in Falls Church over the last few weeks and have not been overwhelmed, but I've had a decent turnout, 8 or 9 groups each time. None of them ended up making offers, of course. So.
Right. And that's the weird part, isn't it? Yeah. So they're looking, they're testing the market, they're seeing what the price is. Let me go in and see this house and see what it looks like for $1 million. $2
million.
So I mean, when we're looking at what's the average drop in price in Arlington or in Fairfax County and city, and the average drop is 4.8%. We're used to in the old days of, okay, it's down 4%. Well, that's $52,000. And so we may have to get the buyers to be willing to go in and now we got to see, well, what is low ball? Is 25,000 low ball, or is that within the confines of, we need to help that seller. Angie, what you got?
Okay, this isn't directly about open houses, but I think it's a really relevant data point. So don't get mad at me because it's not about open houses.
Oh my gosh, I'm cutting you off. What are you doing?
I had a very interesting conversation this week with the owner of Postmasters, and they literally install thousands and thousands and thousands of posts. He told me, he talked my ear off and just spilled all these beans about what he's seeing. And he said normally when he puts 50 posts in the ground, he's taking up about 25 at the same time. Now he's putting 50 posts in the ground and may take 5 up.
Wow, that's insightful.
Boy,
Very insightful, right? It's not in our little MLS data, but but I was like, whoa. And he goes, this is serious. I'm running out of posts. And he showed me a screenshot of all the of all the post requests that had come in the last 24 hours. It was insane. It was all over our area. It was like, it could have been 1,000. little dots everywhere. And so I came away from that. And he also went into more detail, like, you know, he's been doing this for 38 years. So he's seen a lot of stuff happen in the ups and downs of the market. And he said the conversations he's having with sellers who are coming out and talking to him used to be that people were just like, yeah, we're retiring. We're going to go to North Carolina. That was like the standard conversation. Now it's like, we're getting the heck out of here. We're tired of paying these taxes, or I lost my job. We got to move. Like, so I think we're really starting to see some, like, it made me feel very concerned, you know, and I don't want to freak anybody out, but I think, but part of my messaging too on the buyer side is I'm like, hey, let's go, man. There's a bunch of, when I'm doing a home search for somebody and I'm looking at what comes up, it used to be that like hardly any choices would come up. I'm like, God, there's nothing, you know, like there's no homes and there's no choices. Now I'm doing some and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna overwhelm these people. There are so many choices in in like one particular buyer I have right now, it's like $1 million to 1.2, 1.3. There's a ton everywhere.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there
No,
because I
that's
thought it was
good.
very interesting.
I'm gonna make a comment, and then Christine, we're coming to you. But I had 2 home inspections in 2 days, and I got them both with square one, and got to talk with Jim yesterday. And I said, "So how's it going for you?" He says, "We're like out every hour, every day." It's a sign that for him, the home inspections are a sign that the market has loosened up, and now people are getting home inspections through. I had one that was information input only. And the other is we can actually ask for something. So we're kind of pretty excited about that. Christine Whedon, what you got? You're muted if you're talking.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
To
Oh, you got
go,
2 on. You must have your phone and your computer. There we go.
I know, I was driving. Let me,
Okay.
you can hear my dog and everything.
No, that's
So I just
okay.
got home. But on a point of what Anya was talking about is working off of others when they're doing the open houses. 2 weeks ago, well, the end of April, in my community in Potomac Shores, a few agents got together and we ended up kind of doing a bingo sheet, and whoever had a listing, we ended up having 22 homes open on Sunday. The price ranged from $599 townhouse up to just under 1.4. So obviously not everybody was pre-approved to attend all of them. I had just put on a townhouse at $670. I only had 2 people stop by. I had a single family home, 2 years old, Stanley Martin, priced at $1 million. I had 1 person stop by. So I was so excited, and we got all this support and activity, but there was still just, it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. And the thing that I'm noticing is people are coming in and they're saying positive things, but then they're not even putting in an offer. So we don't know, is it price too high? Is it not? And it's like pulling teeth to try to get feedback.
Okay. Yeah, and on that one, I think there's a couple of things on this. I remember in 2015, I don't remember what was going on economically, but there was a pause in the market. And I told people, look, this is your opportunity to go in and get the house that you've been worried about that it's not there. And this is where it gets wacky for the buyer. Wait a minute, is the market turning? And I'm like, yeah, it's turning in your favor, so don't put the brakes on now. Let's go see 20 houses. I mean, I had a buyer, we got ratified, and I mentioned to them, I said, well, this is the 41st house, let's go. And they said, what? I'm like, yeah, we've seen 41 houses. Now, it was over 2 months, but they didn't grasp that they had seen that many houses. I said, yeah, this has actually been great, because most times I see 1 or 2 houses per weekend and we got to make a choice. You've had the opportunity. See how that sounds different than, oh my gosh, all these listings are coming on and it's tanking. Like, man, you got an opportunity to actually get something. And they say, well, the economy. I said, yeah, let's talk about the economy. What do you think's going to happen in this area? I said, is the government going away? I had one guy used to always say this. Well, when you have the Pentagon and the White House in your backyard, you can have a market like ours. And regardless of what's going on Capitol Hill, they're not moving the government to St. Louis. Okay, that's not what's happening. And so
Yeah.
I've been through 7 administrations. All right. You can tell by how much hair I've lost. That's what I've been through. All right. So I've seen this happen and it does come back. And so what I'm telling him is like 7 administrations. DC's been here since the 1800s. It's not going away. You need to get in this market now. Okay. That's kind of where I'm coming from on that one. Any other comments on what you're experiencing, buyer or seller? Anything on on rentals? Anything going on that? Are you still getting activity on that? Yeah.
Our rental
Megan
market
and
is
Angie.
slammed.
What's
Yeah,
that?
we're slammed. I mean, this stuff's going pretty quick, and yeah, I mean, we can't keep up with it. Prices are going up, rents are going up.
I had a set of very good, very well qualified renters, like they could have bought if they wanted to, but they're trying to save money. And
Right. And by the way,
um,
Angie has a property management company. That's what she's talking about. And she does has an application website. So when she's talking about slam, she's really got the corner on that market. All right, go ahead. Go ahead, Emma.
yeah, I was just saying that these people are very well qualified, very excellent credit scores, high salary. Like I said, they could probably buy if they wanted to, but they're trying to save money. And they got turned down 3 or 4 times. And granted, they were looking at the top of their budget, and a lot of those were getting escalated. And I honestly, I said to them, I was like, you guys need to come down about $200 and start looking in that range because you're clearly going to have to escalate. They really want to be in Shirlington Park Fairfax, which of course is a super popular area, especially if they're a young couple. But we did finally get something, but it was even $100 over their budget. Now, granted, it's a lot bigger than what they had been looking at before, but and it's not quite in Shirlington, but at least they got something.
Right. Angie's website, by the way, is rentrisk.com. So that's a good one to go to for your clients to run their applications. But we will see this too, people being a little more nervous to get out on the purchase. I think someone said in the comments, it's partly the affordability. Well, this is where you go back and look at, okay, let's look at houses that have been on the market for over 30 days. Let's just go look at those this weekend. And if the sellers don't get the idea about needing to fix up and all that, fine. Help them with the price. I wrote down here, set expectations on both sides, but work it. We've gotten accustomed to this. All right. Offer comes in and the agent calls this, well, would you be willing to do X, Y, and Z? I don't know. Let me ask my buyer. Would you be willing to do X, Y, Z? They're willing to do X, Y, but not Z. And we try to negotiate without writing it down and sending it over. And we want to have it nice and clean and all perfect before we send it back over. That's not the way the market used to be. I was in the market of fax machines, folks. All right. Your paper looked crappy by the time you ratified with all the Yeah, Lily knows. Yeah, Mitch, were you a faxer? And so we've got to get back into when they start asking, well, can you cut this? And are you willing to say, well, put it down on paper and send it over? Well, so I appreciate that, but I can't really talk to them. Get me something in writing, because then you're negotiating with your buyer or your seller. Look, if you sign this, we're done. Okay, and I'm in the corner of the transaction and getting it done instead of just saying, well, let's talk about it to death. Okay, Scott, and then Steve McElvain.
Yeah, I was just gonna, for as long as my voice will hold out, comment that everything that's been said, although anecdotal, is consistent with what the weekly data is showing. Thing I want to point out is there's a reason I've been harping on the weekly spread between new listings and new contracts for 2 months. Every week it's been new listings higher than new contracts. There's no indication that spread is going to change through May. And we are seeing, both Anthony pointed out and then what I sent around about days on market, you're having a lot. You get above the median days on market, like in Fairfax County right now, it's 15 days is median, which means 50% or above 15 days. The average overall is 30, which means you've got to get a lot of houses well over 30 days to get to a 30-day average.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got new listings every week outpacing new contracts and houses are taking longer, then the market we have right now in terms of inventory and buyer activity, it's probably not going to get better unless, and the Fed's indicated, doesn't look like a rate change is going to occur in June. So you don't have that potential to change buyer psychology. So just keep in mind what we're seeing now. There's no no trend indication that we're going to get a change.
Mm-hmm. All right, before I come to Steve and Angie again, let me, some of you guys came in a little bit later, so I want to go through these numbers again. I have an Arlington, City of Alexandria, Falls Church community here. Of the actives, and there's 762 actives inside the Beltway, 24.3% have had price drops that are active. And the average price drop by dollar volumes, almost $52,000, which is a 5.68% drop that are active. Of the sold in the last 30 days, we've had 405 solds. 35.5% sold at 104.1. So you'll see the number that it's 100% list to sold price average, but you really got to pay, you got to nail it. You got to divide it up. 29.8% are getting the 100% of the price. And we talked about that earlier. Well, are they dropping their price and then coming down even more? Or are they dropping the price and then they're selling? And then 34.5% got 96.93. If for the listing folks, this is the talk. You don't want a 10% bogey. We want to get in there right. Then Fairfax County, actives 1,628. 23.8% have dropped their price, and their average is almost the same as inside the Beltway, 52,000, 4.8% average drop. The solds in the last 30 days, and look at that, we've got over 1,000 solds. This is good. The above asking, again, it's like almost 4% above asking price. 25% are getting the asking price. So 76% are getting at or above. That's a different market than inside the Beltway. And then below asking is 23.4%. I have it in writing, but it's not on the screen, but I'll get this wrapped up too. Loudoun County is 27.3% have had a price change. In Prince William County, 25%. And in Loudoun County, the ones with the drop, the dollar amount's been about $41,000, 40,400, which is a drop of 4.2. Prince William's kind of holding their own. They've dropped on average, the ones that did drop, down to almost $25,000, which is a reflection of about 3.5%. So it is happening all around, but not as much in the outlying area as it is here. Steve, go ahead. Steve McElwain. You may be muted, Steve. I don't hear anything.
While we wait for Steve, can I throw in a quick question? Anthony, is this over the past month?
This is the last 30 days.
That's there. Thanks.
Yeah.
So I missed the beginning, so I don't know what you started with, but I'll just give my just a couple of examples of what I've seen. So everything prior to Fairfax County Public Schools letting out for spring break went under contract by Monday or Tuesday. I had two listings, one in my neighborhood in Winterset, Woodson School District, and then one in Camelot. And both of them went under contract. The one in Camelot, the buyer walked on home inspection items, and we were trying to deal with those before the buyer walked, and it didn't work out. And so the listing became wounded. And now we had a 975 all cash offer. And right now we'll be lucky if we get 940. We've done a 20K price drop. There's been a lot of activity at the open houses, 9, 12 groups each week that have done open houses, but no I think we're going to get an offer, but I'll tell you, the buyers are being very bold on what they're asking for right now, and it makes sense because it's been it was on the market, came off the market. So if you have a listing, do whatever you can to keep it under contract. Do not let it go back off. Talk to your clients and say, hey, we've got to make this thing work. This one
Real quick, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
On the home inspection items, were these things the seller kind of went, we'll see what the home inspect, or were they things that really got uncovered? And was it really a home inspection they wanted to get out, or did they think, let me go somewhere else?
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
But that brings up something, by the way. This is something that I do with my listings. I never put the buyer's agent on the listing until we get to closing day. I put 9999 because I don't want some shark listing agent out there to call that agent who's under contract on my listing and say, hey, why don't you I've got a better house coming. Do you still have a contingency that you can get out on?
Wow.
So that's something that I've done forever. Agents don't like it on the other side, but I explain to them why. So then I have another listing, Fairfax Club Estates, the market was moving so fast early April. And then there was an oversupply of listings and everybody is just floundering right now. And we were at 940, we dropped it to 920. I have an offer right now at 895 and my client's like, we got to accept it. Now I'm trying to get the contingencies more in my client's favor. So I'm just giving just some of my observations. The other thing is I love Thursday, Friday open houses. I love them a lot. I do those often. First of all, it doesn't mess up my weekends. And I like to get out there early and it gets the neighbors out there with the general public and they interact with each other and the neighbors can tell the general public things that I can't about kids and schools and all that. So that's been pretty good for me. I have a listing right now in Vienna. It's at 1.7 and it's gorgeous home. And I saw an email that came out about how 1.5 and above is moving so fast with multiple offers. I've only had like 6 or 7 showings. It went on the market 10 days ago. And yeah, I mean, I'm surprised. I'm surprised that one's not under. So it's a fun market right now.
Oops, something happened to the sound. Can you guys hear me?
Now we can hear you, Andy. Go ahead.
Okay, so that's so weird. I just wanted to go back to something that Emma said earlier when we were talking about rentals and how qualified her clients were for properties. That's the case that I see time and time again. And what I'm getting from all of this and my mindset right now is the incredible opportunity that's out there for buyers. So if you're working with renters, you need to have these conversations about purchasing a property. I just converted one of my renters, some military folks, and they were able to get into a property in Falls Church that's normally harder to get into. And so I'm very excited and motivated from that standpoint. So I just encourage you guys to have these conversations. And as a side note, what Anthony shared earlier about rent risk is that within rent risk, that is a feed for future buyers. So when you on your list, if you're doing rental listings and you're using rent risk to screen all the rental applications, you have those people that you can download and put into your CRM. We built that function in there so that you can start nurturing those folks. You've got their credit and income all right in front of you at your fingertips, and those are future buyers. So don't forget about the rental side of the market and talking to those folks now, because they have a chance to get in and potentially get a fantastic house at a much lower price with less competition. So I think it's a really great opportunity. Just my 2 cents.
Great, thanks. Chris, Thomas?
Yeah, can you guys hear me? Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah, so just like Steve, all my listings sold before sort of like Easter or like early April. And now I'm scratching my head with this Chantilly listing. We've been on the market 2 weeks and we got an offer. Showings were great first 2 weeks, and we got an offer. It was low, and we decided to not accept it, right? Or, not accept it at first. But then we were like, okay, there's no one else wanting to make an offer. So we did accept it, but it's sort of like they're going away. They just ghosted us. So it's just bizarre. So we dropped the price and it's just sitting on the market. I thought, everyone would be like, scheduling showings, but we've gotten like one a day. So it's really interesting. And I actually ran the numbers. So from a month ago, there's like 31 active inventory for just detached homes. And last year it was like 5. And yeah, so I mean that's very telling. It's a lot.
Good deal. Thank you. Kristen?
Of course, you called on me when I've got a phone call coming in.
We can go to Andy and come back. You want to do
No,
that?
it's okay. They hung up. I'll call them back. Talking about military, that was one of the things that I wanted to ask about. So I actually have right now a USAID. Ironic, I've had a lot of USAID clients, but coming back from overseas, and they're like, we want to buy now. We need to hurry and get something now. And there's military people out there PCSing. So I don't work a lot with this community, but I want to know from those people out there who do. Like, I have a feeling from what I've seen and heard that military and State Department, like, they're not moving until they're moving, right? Like, they get orders and they're like, okay, we might be moving, we might not be moving, but now we are moving and now we need a place. So is that what other people are seeing? And then also, I actually, in the numbers that I track, the past 2 weeks, I've seen better contract numbers. And so again, I'm wondering, is that related to PCSing right now?
All right, what do you mean? What, you're seeing better contract numbers? What do you mean by that?
Well, compared to, I run data week over week as well. And what I've been seeing in the numbers, I run Northern Virginia, Arlington, Alexandria, Fairfax Falls Church, and I compare new contracts to the same week last year. And what I've been seeing for the past like 8 weeks was that contracts have been 40 to 50% less contracts this year compared to the same week last year, except for 1 week that was 80%. That was probably spring break. But so 40 to 50% fewer contracts than the year before. But the last 2 weeks, it was only 10% and 20% less than the year before.
Yeah.
That's because orders are coming out now. So, I mean, yeah, there are more military people that are now kind of getting on it for their summer PCS, but there was a big lag and there's been a big problem with orders. So that might kind of correlate with what you're saying.
That's what I'm asking. So what I'm saying is, so right now, are we going to see a surge or some surge of PCS buyers is what maybe I'm seeing in the numbers I track.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's what's going to happen now. This is the time of year. I've got one coming in from LA. But he said exactly what you said. It may be later, but it could happen right away. And once it happens, then I got to move. I'm hearing that as well. But I don't do a lot of military that are transferring. I just work with military that are actually in the area. PCS, that is, Angie, what's PCS again?
Permanent change of station.
Yeah,
so it's
thank you.
orders. They're getting orders to come here.
Right.
Yeah, Andy, I have a personal story. We were stationed at Fort Bragg at the time, and we were figuring on being there for another year. We came down on orders and we're gone in 30 days.
Yeah.
So when they come, and you don't know there's no guarantee when they're going to be.
Yeah.
No predicting it.
Okay, Andy Musler, what you got?
Yeah, I just thought great to see everybody. Huge group here. I think that's interesting, data point wise, like huge group. I don't know that I've seen this number of people on a call since COVID. So interesting. There's a lot of interest here. I think that as I'm listening to everybody, I think Angie's take is one that I'm going to walk away with, which is this is an opportunity. This is what the market has needed and wanted, is a little bit of a correction or a little bit of slowing. And like, how do we capitalize on that? And how do we position, there are great properties for sale, and our buyers are finally able to make deals happen without waiving all their contingencies and having some level of like process to the purchase versus just like throwing everything at the wall and trying to get it. So I think that like positive take is what I'm going to walk away with here, and try to get my clients into great properties. And by doing that, you position yourself for a great business in the future, because your buyers have great properties and they're happy, and then you'll be able to help them in the future and they'll be thrilled with you. So, but I think that the cautionary thing would be to say, like, if you get buyers who are just trying to time the market, like if you're thinking, oh, I'm just going to like go in and crush a seller with 20% off or something, like I don't see that. I mean, I don't see a falling off the cliff thing. And I think Scott's information has been very, very helpful as he's shared it. And so I would defer to him on the actual like full set of data. But I'm not seeing a falling off the cliff in terms of pricing. That remains to be seen. If we get flooded with 30% more listings, then maybe that shifts. But anyhow, we'll see. But I'm starting to think about how I can reach out to more buyers and let them know, hey, there's a sane market out there for them that they can engage with.
Excellent. Okay. Mitch, you had your hand up earlier.
So I guess the thing is that in 30 days, there's been a huge change. It's just amazing. And I think you saw, Anthony, that I put in my listing contracts recently, price reduction schedule off the bat, that I've talked to them about where the market's changing, and that we specifically wrote it in the listing agreement because buyers or sellers are still thinking 30 days ago, and they're not thinking today. And so I'm really holding them to be accountable to what I'm telling them, even though what they're thinking. So you saw that I put a 3-week price reduction in the listing agreement. And
nail that down a little bit. Just give them like word for word how that works.
Right. So in the addendum, I just wrote that we're going to go on price. Say we went on a 2.2, and then 30 days later, we're going to go $50,000, and we needed to go again, and we do another one, because in 30 days at a 1.3, 1.2, they don't want to go down in 30 days. And so I made them go down 50,000. And actually, we ended up going under contract, but the bad news, it fell out yesterday because it was a 1031 exchange. So, but it worked. I got somebody. So
yeah. Kristen, do you still have your hand up, or is that a leftover? Okay. All right. Scott Ford, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to make the point that, overall, we're not trailing last year in terms of contracts by what I would say is a significant amount. It's just we have more new listings and houses staying longer on the market. So there are a lot, to Andy's point and others, about it being an opportunity from the buyer perspective. There are the volume of houses that are well above the average days on market, 30 days, 60 days. You saw the charts where all the jurisdictions you had, you get beyond the median and you've got some high days on market properties. Not all of them, and I would say not even a majority of them, are that way because they're not quality houses, they're not well presented, they're overpriced. There are a lot of good quality houses at prices that by any reasonable metric are not overpriced, that are not being bought because of the market environment we have and buyer activity. And because of that, there's an opportunity to go in and get a good house and probably negotiate on price and other things. So it is one of the most challenging markets that I have seen in, since summer of 22, when we started having a slowdown in contract activity because rates were escalating. Because we have still low overall inventory by any historical metric. It's
Right.
increased quite a bit over the last 3 months, but it's still low. But we have lesser buyer activity in some cases. So that's makes us valuable to
Great.
provide counsel.
All right, I'm going to lay out some things here, some action items with some takeaways. While I'm doing this, if you guys would go into the chat, because this is being recorded, so when we get done, all the chat gets piled up. In the chat, put in what's one thing you're getting out of this today and how you're going to change what you're doing and how you're going to approach people differently a little bit. But some things that I got here is hold opens. The buyers coming out are going to be serious. Okay. Ask what would be the price you wouldn't walk away from. Now, that kind of goes away with what some were saying, don't panic. But at the same time, if they're hesitating, I have found in this area, people go, well, that's what they want. So I really couldn't say, well, what would it be? Because what we know is that the average, when people drop the price, they drop it, 1, 2, 3, 4%. So what would be the price you wouldn't walk away from? Asking this not with a brand new listing, okay? Okay. But maybe more like one that's been on the market a while and you're trying to draw some activity. Many buyers may have a house to sell. So that's why you still want to do open houses as well. Set expectations. The absorption rates do not reflect a buyer's market right now. I'll just say that. Now, here's the challenge we've had with absorption rates. We've been in 1 to 1.5 per absorption rate for so long. We're getting to 2.5 and 3, and we think it's a buyer's market. It's not. 3 is what we call a normal market. I get to go out, I get to show 20 properties, we nail it down to one house, we put an offer in, we've got a couple of days to negotiate. That's a normal market. This put in 15 offers in one day and hope we win and cross our fingers, that is not a normal market. This is normal. And so we got to get the buyers to latch onto the idea, hey, this is normal. And say, well, I don't know, the prices might keep dropping for a little bit. Do you want to go back where you got to give away your firstborn child and $50,000 more to get a house? Or do you want to negotiate? Which one you want to do here? For listing agents, don't be setting deadlines for offers right now. Review them as they come in. Counter in writing. Forget the verbal stuff. Say, great, if that's what you want to do, put it in writing and let's see if we can get this done. I use a phrase, thank you so much for your offer. Let's get on, or I would send one that's maybe not as perfect as they would like it to be. And I'll say, hey, let's get on the dance floor. Okay. Or we'll send back what you're saying from your seller and let me see if I can get them to agree. Don't be doing this verbally. Get it written down. Clean up, fix up, update. That's not new. But the sellers can't be used to that. Don't forget, we have a lot of contractors that we can use in-house that have a lot of opportunity to fix up properties well. And we even have a couple that they've got the financing lined up where the seller can get it done and pay it off at closing. That's probably gonna be a 1-2 punch on that. Back in the day before the market was hot, I think it was Curbio, they would do this, but they'd say, but we want to see your marketing plan because we don't want to give you all this money to get your house ready and then you're not doing what you need to do to make it happen. And I like what Andy just said. This is what we've needed and wanted is a break in the market. That's what we've wanted. And so now we've got it. So let's take advantage of it. Okay. Let's see here. I'm calling my database on the fence buyers. Good. Thanks, Angie. Emma, hold opens. Encourage my buyers to try for offers, especially if they've been on the market 14 days plus. Help them understand they can get contingencies or under asking price. Rashana, know how a buyer can buy a home now with a bridge loan. That's a good one. And list their home after the move into it with a new home. Open houses every week and educate clients. So maybe some flyers, maybe some talking points that you have on a sheet and you can lay out there. Megan, opportunity to convert renters. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Yeah. Big time. Go back to your renter people from last year. Hey, now's your chance. Get them with lenders. They can see the numbers. Market shift happened the week before Easter. Listing, pricing lower could yield higher. Make sure the home looks great. We just cannot pull back from making that house look good. Rashana put in a referral to or a link to maxhouseprice.com. They're one of the groups that will do some financing. The builder we had last week in the sales meeting, Dwell Contracting, they also have some financing. And then for listing agents, don't set an offer deadline before you have an offer in hand. Yeah, I had 2 listing agents tell me about deadlines this week when I called them the day after they had 0 offers. Exactly. Forget it. Say, well, here's my offer, and I'm going to give you till Saturday night to get it done because then we're going to move along. The buyers have a little more control right now. Lily, again, it's a good time for renters to become buyers and stop paying someone else's mortgage. I like that one. I can't afford a mortgage. Yes, you can. You're paying a mortgage. So you're just paying the landlord's mortgage. Kim Grutzik, active under contract, still hold the scheduled open house. My current and most recent closed listing both had AC and got backups. Backups are great. Current contract missed a deadline and now backup is the new contract. Did y'all get that? Get those backup offers on the best product. Remember, half the houses are still selling for 4% over. So there are active properties. Put the buyer agent as 9999 on the MLS. Well, remember, yeah, that's a good one because what we're doing is protecting our seller and making sure that no one's calling that agent and say, I got a house, and getting really creative in their marketing. Yes, take up backup offers with greater product for sale. You mean more, right, Andy? Just we have more to sell. Market opportunity is shifting towards buyers. Know where you are. Not all locations are the same. This is true. Know the absorption rate almost by zip code now. If it's like Springfield, there's some parts in Springfield that are at 0.98. Some of these things won't work in Springfield that they would say in another area. Not all locations are the same. Broad Run versus Northeast DC, highly rated school districts, I think, will stay more competitive. Don't publish buyer agent contact. I've never done that before, but that sounds pretty good. I think I was thinking about this, but usually people aren't searching for or seeing. This is true about the continue marketing when you're AC. You can still keep marketing when it's AC, active under contract. So make sure that you're doing that. Okay. All right, folks. Thank you so much for coming out today. This was very valuable, I think. I want you to go away encouraged that this is a good market. We can now actually negotiate. We can actually go back and forth. And we need to get things in writing, not verbal. Forget the deadline. If someone says, well, our deadline's Monday night, say, great, my buyer's deadline is Sunday night. So here's my offer. And I've had some get accepted because of that. They go, oh, so yeah, because if they're trying to get that thing to go up the ladder, I'm not going to let them use mine as a stepping stone to that. I'm going to take it away and go find another house, which they can do now. That's the whole thing. All right. Any other comments? Great.
This was super helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, and this is recorded. We're going to get it posted up. Thank you, Rashana. Rashana, it's coming your way.
Hey, Anthony, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, can I just chat with you real quick after this is over? Just a 2-second question.
Yeah, just give me a call if you would, because I'm going to shut this thing down.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, talk to you guys later. Bye.